Hello, where from you? This is Jane from Jane's Videos, and I am honestly so honored and happy right now to be making this video. I am doing a Wolfman review on the Gemmy Beheaded Bride from 2008. Now, for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram and are like, where did this come from? How do you all of a sudden have a rare Gemmy prop? So, if you don't follow me on Instagram, also I should say you might want to go do that, because not only do I post a lot of cool Halloween stuff on there as well, but a lot of Instagram things I announce before they're announced on YouTube. Like, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you wouldn't have known that Nightmare House Lore the movie was coming out, Nightmare House Lore the movie 2 was coming out March 20th. It was just caught people on YouTube by surprise. But on Instagram, I announce these things a lot, and I usually announce them before YouTube. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I suggest you go do that so you can get all of the updates for what's going to happen on my YouTube before it happens. Anyways, with that out of the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you probably are really confused right now about what is going on here, unless you heard someone else talking about it that does follow me on Instagram. You probably have no idea what's going on. Anyways, as everyone knows, yesterday was Easter, and I got way more than I expected for Easter. I was expecting to maybe get a few small things, but I got so much more than I expected. I woke up and I saw Beheaded Bride, Ghastly Groom, Floating Ghost Girl, Lemax Spooky Town Creepy Doll Shop, and Evil Sinister Clowns, Lemax Spooky Town, sitting in my living room, among a few other things, but those aren't props. So they're still Halloween, but they're not props, so I'm not going to mention them. But I was so surprised when I saw these things. I think the thing that caught me by surprise most was Beheaded Bride and Ghastly Groom. I did not expect to get these things, and I probably wouldn't have if they weren't for such a good price. My mom found Floating Ghost Girl on OfferUp for only $20, and it's fully working, the guy says, so I'm hoping he's right. $20 on a fully working Floating Ghost Girl, so she got me that. And then Beheaded Bride was only $35. I'm not even kidding. And Ghastly Groom was only $35 as well. So that is how I was able to get these things. I don't know the prices on the Lemax Spooky Town things, but she said that they were on sale, so I would assume they weren't too expensive. But seriously, $35 for Beheaded Bride and Ghastly Groom, $70 together. I am so surprised to get these. And the way that I got them for $35, and I'm going to thank my uncle on this video right now, he sold them to us for $35. He's had these things ever since they came out in 2008, and he really does like these. I think he uses them every year, I'm not sure. But me and him have been talking about me wanting these for ever since I was little, and so he sold them to us. I've wanted Beheaded Bride and Ghastly Groom ever since 2008. They are two of my favorite props of all time. They're not my two favorites, but they're two of my favorites. They're definitely up in my top 20, probably, of all time props, and there's thousands of props out there, so that's really good. And to have these is just crazy. Her eyelids do not blink, but that is not a major issue, and I'm sure it can be fixed quite easily. But other than that, everything else works, which I'm really surprised about, because she's from 2008. Without any further ado, I'm going to get into it. And also, Ghastly Groom will have his review up next, so stay tuned for that. Probably not today, but it might be. But stay tuned for Ghastly Groom's after hers. Anyways, let's get into the prop. Just like always, I'm going to start off with detail first, and first I want to talk about her neck area. I know it's kind of strange to be talking about her neck, but since she's a Beheaded Bride, of course, she's going to have some detail at the neck. She's got quite a lot of blood up there, and it looks really cool and really realistic, and I really like it. I really like that it's not just a chopped off head where there's no blood. Even though she's a ghost, her blood is still really cool on the neck area, and I really do love that they added that. It just looks really awesome and creepy. So she's actually got the same material on her dress as the Haunted Gothtober doll did, and I recently did a review on her. That was my most recent video, and someone pointed out to me in the comments that that is called lace. Now, I knew it was called lace, but I completely forgot when I was doing the video. So The lace is really cool on this. It gives it a very cool and creepy, old-fashioned look. It gives it a very realistic look too, because actual wedding dresses would have that on them. And so it looks really, really cool. And you can also see the little part where her head is chopped off. Honestly, looks really disturbing. I've always thought headless things for Halloween are just really creepy, just because there's just a stump for a head, and it's just something that you don't normally see. I mean, you never see it, other than a Halloween prop, I would hope, because I hope you haven't seen a headless person in your life, because if you have, that's not a good sign. But I think it's very cool that they have a beheaded prop. We don't get very many of these besides the Headless Horseman and this one, but so I'm really happy that they did this, especially a bride, because I've always really liked bride and groom props too, because we don't get very many of them, but when we do, they're pretty cool. So here is her left hand, which I really like, and I wanted to just talk about this hand in particular real quick, just because the detail looks amazing. It actually looks like a real hand with all the detail that they put on it, and I know you can't really see it too well. I'll try to zoom in a little bit so you can see the detail a little bit more, but it looks so realistic, and I really, really like it. But probably my favorite part about the hand is the position that it's in. Her hand's kind of like down, like when the ring is put on the bride's finger. That's kind of how a woman would hold their hands to have the ring slid on it. So it looks like she's kind of having her hand like that, like she's ready for the ring to be put around her finger, but of course, alas, that shall never happen, because she has departed from our world onto the next, this poor beheaded bride. Just like the other hand, this one has a lot of detail, and I should have lifted up the sleeve on the other hand to show you the veins on that one, but I'll just show you on this one. The blackish looking veins on the hand are so cool and so creepy. I just really love it, and like I already said, the hands look great on this prop. They look very realistic, and it really adds to the realism of the prop and the detail of the prop overall. We have now, of course, reached the main part of the prop, which is the head that she is holding. The head is so creepy looking and so disturbing. I absolutely love it. They have those classic Jemmy mouths that those old Jemmy props had, where it kind of looks like a ventriloquist dummy mouth. I'm sure you can see what I'm talking about. But that, I've always thought that was really creepy looking, and they've actually started making Jemmy props like that again recently, such as the Black Widow Bride. I think that's what she was called. I kind of forget. But the Black Widow Bride is an example of a mouth like that. It honestly looks really creepy too, because you can see her teeth kind of, and it looks really creepy, like she died in kind of a shocked face position where her mouth was like somewhat open, like she was in shock or of what was going on or something like that. Of course, it's not known how they died, the bride and the groom, but they probably died a very gruesome death, because on the groom, his mouth is gaping wide open and he looks like he's screaming. So they both probably died a quite gruesome death, and you can tell that she did because she doesn't even have a head. Her eyes look really, really creepy, which I absolutely love. I think they look very disturbing, especially when they're wide open like that, which right now on the prop, they should actually be closed, but like I said, mine's eyes do not close. But when she's in the off position, if her eyes worked, they would look like that. And of course, like I said, I plan on getting those fixed soon, and those should be an easy fix. So I really hope that can be done soon. But I really love how her eyes blink and they close. It's really creepy. It just adds to the realism of the prop. Now, as you can see, she's got quite short brown hair. You can kind of see her ears there, which don't really have too much detail. But of course, she still needs her ears. But I wish they would have added a little bit more detail to those, but other than that, the whole prop has a ton of detail, so it doesn't really matter. She's got very short brown hair, and the reason I want to point this out is because the Gothic Beheaded Bride that only Spirit Halloween sold, and this one only Michaels sold, this one is different from the Gothic one. The Gothic one has a red and black dress, well this one of course has an all white dress, and also The Gothic one has long hair, and I think it has some red streaks through the hair. It's got long black hair, though. I know that. And that's why I wanted to point out the length of the hair, because I wanted to point out how it's different from the Gothic Beheaded Bride's hair, because it is rather different. Anyways, with that aside, I'm going to talk about the cracks in her face, which look really cool. I'm not really sure why she has cracks in her face, because she's not a doll. She's just supposed to be a ghost. But I still think it looks really awesome, and I really do. I'm glad that they added the cracks, because it looks very disturbing, and I like it a lot. Now down here, as you saw at her neck, it was all bloody. Of course, that's because her head was chopped off, so the bottom of her head's gonna be bloody too. I actually prefer the detail on the bottom of the head, of course, than on the neck, because it just looks so much more gruesome and cool. There's so much more depth to it, and the blood color is just better. It just looks so awesome. It really does look like she was brutally killed and had her head chopped right off, because it looks so realistic and gruesome and bloody. And I love gore for Halloween, of course, so if you don't know that about me, which I'm sure you do, I really like seeing that. It looks really cool. Now, this isn't much to talk about, but I just wanted to talk about her veil anyways, because it's there. Of course, she's got just a standard bride veil, but it looks very cool on this prop, and I really do like it a lot. Now, without any further ado, here's the moment I believe you've all been probably waiting for, and it is demoing the prop. And I never showed the bottom of her dress, but it's pretty basic, so I didn't really need to, but that's the bottom. And she's got a basic black standard base, which I think might have had a button on it at some point, because there's a little place for a button. But she's got a try me button on her hand, so it doesn't really matter that there's not a button there. Anyways, without any further ado, I am finally going to demo the Beheaded Bride for you guys. I believe she has 3 phrases, I'm not sure though. I know Ghastly Groom, which I'm going to review next. Like I said, it might not be today, but he's the next review that's going to come out. I believe he has more phrases than her, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know that she has about 3 phrases.
There you are. I'm ready when you are. This is the happiest day of my life. Hello. Have you come for my wedding? I can't find my bouquet. Where am I? Does my hair look nice? I just want everything to be perfect, even though
So, as you can see, she is very cool, especially when she's in action. She's very cool as a static prop, too, if you don't have a working one. Just saying, just because alone, she just looks creepy. But she's very cool in action. I love all the motion that she has. Of course, her eyes are supposed to be blink, so that's one part of her motion. And her waist turns, and her mouth moves, so she's got quite a bit of motion, and I really do enjoy that about her. She is really, really, really cool and very creepy. I used to be terrified of her and the groom when I was little, but I still liked them nonetheless. I love the crying sounds that she does, where she cries in the middle of her phrases, especially when she goes, "This is the happiest day of my," and then she doesn't finish her sentence and starts crying, which is obviously because she was gonna say, "This is the happiest day of my life," but the thing is, she realizes that she's dead, and so just the fact of thinking about it being the happiest day of her life makes her cry, because she knows it's not her life anymore. So it can't be the happiest day of her life because she's dead, and it just really adds to the creepiness of the prop. It also gives it a pretty sad feeling too, to think that she is aware that she's dead. So I would assume that her and her groom were killed at their wedding, because they talk about getting married, and it was probably right before they were married, because there's not a ring on her finger for one, and she talks about how it's their time to get married, so they probably aren't even married yet, so whoever killed them, I don't know. But that might actually start a theory video. I might actually do a theory video on that coming up, because I haven't done a theory video in quite a while. It was 2016 last time I did some Halloween theories. So I'm thinking maybe the groom could have killed her. I'll get more into that on a theory video. But anyways, this has been my review on the Beheaded Bride. I love her. She is an awesome prop, and I really wish I would have had her in 2016 when I did Until Death Do Us Part. But now this is making me maybe want to do a marriage theme again. Anyways, the Haunt trailer will be coming out very soon, so you guys will see what I have in store. And let me know what scene that you think the bride and the groom can fit in. Anyways, I'm going to do the groom next. Ghastly Groom, which he's a great prop, which he definitely has a much more major problem with how he works than she does. So I might actually postpone his review a little bit until I get that fixed, because his body doesn't even move, he just talks. On the Wolfman review rating scale, I rate the Beheaded Bride 5 out of 5 claw marks. That is right, she gets the top of the scale, because she's a great prop, and I really don't have any complaints with her. Even though mine is broken, that is going to happen in a prop that's literally 10 years old this year. This year marks the 10th year that this prop was released. It was released 10 years ago this year. And so what a perfect year for me to get this prop, seeing that it is 10 years after the release. Anyways, the theory video will be coming soon. I'll probably do some more theory videos soon, because I was hoping to do some more of those as we approach the Halloween season in just a few more months. We've only got 3 months to go until the Halloween season begins. And so I hope you all enjoyed this Wolfman review. Keep howling at the moon, my werewolves. Please comment, rate, and subscribe.
Hey, come back. You don't play fair and you're making me angry. But maybe if you subscribe to Jaden's videos and join the werewolf army, I'll let you live another day. But it's not guaranteed.